Hi, so I'd like to share a very sad story with you. But first, I am Mommy, a screenwriter, and as a storyteller, let me add to the many reasons why you can never trust anyone on earth. But please note, this is not one of my fictions. This is the truest and most traumatizing incidents that I happen to have encountered growing up as a child, and it has to do with how my great uncle was shot dead premeditatively by a relative. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so growing up, I lived with my grandmother in a small town called Enum, Ofuase to be precise. We also lived in the same house with my great uncle, who was a veteran soldier and a palm wine tapper. So on this fateful day, myself and my cousin Kweku did not go to school. We were playing football on the compound when Kweku mistakenly hit me with a ball. My great uncle was coming out of the house when he saw Kweku hit me with the ball. So he gets angry, gives Kweku a hard knock on his head, and wants him not to hit me again. He also tells me he will bring me palm wine, me alone. He will bring me alone some palm wine, comforting me not to cry. To add a little detail, my great uncle had a worker whom he always went to the farm with. Unfortunately, on this day, the worker whose name I've forgotten couldn't make it to the farm with my uncle that early morning because his daughter, who was leading a brigade, a church brigade, was marching at an event and he needed to be there for his daughter. As a responsible father. So approximately 15 minutes after my great uncle had left, the worker comes back from the event looking for him. And we told him he had already taken the lead, so he also followed him. Meanwhile, my grandmother was complaining of headache, so she was sleeping all this while. If I am accurate, 15 minutes after the worker had left, he comes back panting, asking us where our grandmother was, and we directed him. And in the next minute, we see our grandmother running helter-skelter, sending us to go and call the family elders nearby. Somebody who was complaining of headache all day. In the next 10 minutes, we see about 7 elders assemble in our house, and they march their way to the farm, including his wife. All this while, me and my cousin was very clueless about the ongoing. Not me still waiting for my palm wine and teasing my cousin about it. But in a few minutes, we see them coming back, but with long faces. His wife, who couldn't hold her tears, started screaming when she approached the house, saying, "Who did this to me? Who did this to me?" And she sat on the floor sobbing. It turns out my great uncle has been shot dead in the farm. Somebody who just comforted me and promised to bring me palm wine. The next thing I saw was his dead body being carried by men to the police station. May God continue resting his soul. It turns out that the perpetrator is none other than a relative whom he took care of. The guy was hired to kill him. So he went to the farm prior to this day. He sat there, waited for him all day. But unfortunately, my great uncle couldn't go to the farm that day. So he felt hungry. So the next day when he was coming, he came prepared. He came with kinky and fish and sachets of water. He sat, ate, and drank, and probably did gear on top. Waited for him. He came, he took off his shirt, doing his business, and he shot him from the back. My great uncle rolled over the palm branches with the thorns piercing his skin. It gets weirder. I say it gets weirder because there were people in our vicinity. In fact, our neighbors, some of our neighbors knew that man was going to die that day. And they didn't tell him about it. They didn't let him know that this is what they planned against him. My grandmother made sure me and my cousin never ate from anybody's house again. Food, banku. That'd be why I like banku like that. My grandmother will wake up 3 o'clock and prepare banku. There's always food in our house because don't you ever. So this is a true story that happened roughly 20 years ago in Enum. And if you go to my house right now, you see it is written boldly on the wall. Suronipa Neja Isamai. Suronipa Neja Isamai. Soja Isa Andrews, may your perfect soul rest in peace.